To take you up on something else you mentioned, you talked about a deficiency of trust. Even those who agree that there should be a national conference, despite whatever motive, has been attributed to it, they too are still skeptical. What do you think can be done to engender trust in the process?
Now, you build trust by being consistent, by inclusiveness, so that these people should be brought in. The president should do salesmanship. In every policy that you do, you have to sell it to the people. So by building that trust, is getting these people, let them see your point of view. I'm not sure that they have sat down, face to face to say, look, this is the thing. I'm honest about it, okay, about what I'm about to do. How do we build this nation? Forget your interests, so that we will make a bigger pie. It is not that everybody will now have a bigger share, but if this pie is small, it's like a friend of mine who said that he'd rather be owner of, his business is a 2 billion naira business, but he owns only 10% of it. He said it's better for him than to own 100% of nothing. So this is the kind of salesmanship that we need to begin to do, the kind of attitude that we begin to have, that it is for our own enlightened self-interest. I exist for me to succeed. You also know that my success depends on your success. That's the kind of attitude that we need to have. We need to have the courage to take risks.
But this middle class, that you say they're expected to collect the views of those out there so that they can represent them up there. How do we expect that to happen when this same middle class, we see the performance during the elections? Many of them just sit back in their houses, just stretch their legs on the couch and become armchair critics. They can't stand the heat. They don't stand in the queue. They don't want to understand the process and be that change or make that change.
Because one is that being an elite or middle class is one thing, but being aware of the role that you have to play is another. As I am here today, I know that there's a role I have to play in the society. It has gone beyond just putting food on the table. Some people are comfortable in that sense. They can afford 3 square meals a day, but that is beyond the point. There is a purpose for you being, God putting you in that position that you are today, to affect the lives of other people. And how can you do it? Politics is just a platform to provide that service. If you live for yourself, somebody said that if you don't have a cause to die for, you're not to live. You should as well go back to your creator. But the point is that they have to realize some of these things. And a senior friend of mine said one thing, that, look, that part of the challenge that we have in this country is the elite themselves. Because they're confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know their role. And that is a major issue. If you, as a father, you don't know the role that you're supposed to play in your own home, in the upbringing of your children, then you're a delinquent or a father. You should not be called a father. The same way the elite, they are confused. And it's their confusion that is causing part of the challenge that we're having today.
Sometimes you just might not be confused. You just also could be a good father, but you have, children who don't abide. So it takes us to the followership. Yeah. Don't you think that could also be some kind of problem?
Yeah, there's a problem in followership as well. Again, if you don't show a good example, then the followership will pick a queue. Let me give you an example. I went to an office. The gate man there didn't allow me to park. But I saw the other man stretch out to give him money, and he allowed him to park. And I called him. You didn't allow me to park, but somebody just gave you money. Why are you spoiling this? I say, if the people in Abuja are doing it, who am I not to do it? They point Abuja. Because they need to give example. We have not shown, good example. Until we begin to show good example to these people, then they will begin to follow us the way.
So it's not because you didn't have a tag to park?
No, not because I didn't have the tag. But because I did not stretch my hands like the other fellow did. And I said, okay, I gladly parked somewhere else and all that. So, because it has to change. It was, there's a book I read sometime by Deborah Mayerson, the Tempered Radical, okay, talking about change. that change is not something you do when you're in position. The change, it can start from you. Even if you're a guy, I talked about someone who lived about 20 miles away from office. I was coming to work earlier than people who lived just 5 minutes away.
Give us your assessment on the readiness for change, because you participated in elections.
That's right.
You saw how people responded to different things, including your campaign.
That's right.
How far are we, or how close to that change that we need?
Well, we are still very, very, like you said, very far from this.
Wow.
Because one is that the process itself that throws people up is it's not really what it's supposed to be. And I always say, democracy cannot mix with poverty and illiteracy. These are poverty and lack of education. Not education goes beyond just going to 4 walls of school and all that. Enlightenment. You cannot, the kind of democracy that we want, we'll not be able to achieve it in good time. Because you need the poverty of the poor, it plays a major role in letting people decide. When a man is hungry, he can hardly articulate anything. Okay, so, but again, I saw that poverty and democracy, they will never meet, because you always use your money, and that has always been the thing. The government will squeeze cash so that the opponents will not have enough money to challenge them.
So that's a strategy.
That's a strategy. They will just squeeze them. Few days before the elections, now they release money. Even the trees will be singing hallelujah. The goats, they will know, because they will know that money has been released for elections. And then it will sway their thinking. Because the thing, during my campaign, I said, look, I saw a woman lying down like this. He called me, said, my son, I'm lying down like this. Not that I'm sick, because I'm hungry. My stomach is paining me. How am I going to go there and with 50 naira, with 100 naira? So that is the point. So they don't mix. So we need to educate our people. We need to make sure that we are economically empowered, so that we'll be able to get our democracy right.
All right, interesting perspective. Dr. Austin Nweze of Pan Atlantic University, thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you.